I learn a lot through talk. Conversations are rich with storytelling, narrative. A conversation is an exchange of worldview, preference, politics, economy, history, and of interdependence and humanity. In a conversation, all these things collide if you were listening. This year when doing my practicum, I put a candy dish on my desk. It was a social experiment and a way to create some casual conversations. A candy dish is really a water cooler for kids. I encourage kids to help themselves. You get to know students through their preferences. They're happy to tell you what their favorites are. Your dish grows more eclectic as you try to provide them with their favorites, and they feel seen and heard and appreciated. One student and I had a chance to bond a little more than some of the others. There was a desire to connect and share. And what came out of a lot of our talks is we were both a little starved for connection and conversation. He's a new Canadian, and he's been in Canada for 9 months. He's from West Africa, Cameroon specifically. He would poke around the candy dish. Miss, I really like chocolate. Oh, what are your favorites? Well, I didn't get to have a lot of chocolate back in Africa. I nodded and continued to listen, but my look must have given away more knowledge than I thought. You know this? He said with a surprise that I understood what he was saying. I can imagine that you didn't get to have a lot because most cacao is grown in West Africa, but then it's shipped and exported to the West for consumption. Yes, he said, and we both understood one another. I know a lot about chocolate. The science of chocolate, the varietals of fruit, Criollo, Forastero, Trinitario, the cocoa belt, the harvesting, the fermenting, the drying, the cleaning and grating, the roasting, the husking, and the winnowing to get the nibs, the blending and the balancing of strong and mild varieties to produce edible eating chocolate as we know it to be, Dutching, cocoa liquor, cocoa mass, cocoa butter, refining, conching, couverture, tempering, molding, and enrobing. But that's really only one way to know chocolate. These processes largely ignore the social piece, the truth of the economics and who wins and who loses. Ask me about the Olmecs and the Aztecs, Cortez, colonization, slavery, the creation of cocoa plantations, transatlantic trade, the transformation from bean to beverage and then to bar. Past slavery leads into the present, who profits and who gets to taste. I worked for a huge chocolate multinational. It had Quaker roots long before it was publicly traded. When it was private, it had a philosophy for how it wanted to treat workers. Employee welfare was an important concern. Well, the welfare of some of its workers. Have you ever heard of the model villages of Bournville in New York? Education, healthcare, and community services were provided for active and retired workers. Milton Hershey produced similar villages in America. Isn't it interesting which workers' welfare was of importance? I remember being in meetings. Oh, it's been a good year for chocolate. For who? You know, it's really hard for us to get people to grow chocolate. They just can't make enough growing it. But our share is up. You guys did so well last quarter. We gained share points. A lot is said in this talk. They control the narrative. Have you heard about our Cocoa Life program? It will be on all the new packaging. We are doing a lot for farmers. Says who? We are not good to farmers. In a good year for chocolate in the West, a year that SharePoint increases, almost certainly signifies an increase in dangerous child labor on cocoa farms. Neo-colonial exploitation. In 2001, the International Labor Organization sounded the alarm and through a series of agreements tried to eliminate some of the worst forms of child labor in the growing and processing of cocoa beans. The goal in 2001 was to reduce the worst forms of child labor in the West African supply chain by 70% by 2020. In 20 years, it didn't decrease at all. It increased. From 2010 to 2020, cocoa production in West Africa increased by 1.11 million tons. You know what those SharePoint increases look like in numbers of children? 2 million children. 2 million children in child labor in the cocoa plantations. My student came in to see me. Miss, my birthday is tomorrow. For some reason he whispered it, like it was a secret. Oh, what birthday is this? 15, he replied. Oh, wow, 15. Are you going to do anything special to celebrate? I don't know, but my dad likes to surprise us. Oh, I love surprises. Me too. 2 days later, my student came in. Miss, my dad surprised me with a cake. I knew it could only be one thing, as I knew his favorite. Oh, was it chocolate?